Welcome back. It's Kimile, and you are listening to Heal with Kimile podcast. How do you know when to call it quits? How do you know when to walk away? Like, what is a clear-cut answer? Because some people are like, I love him though. I still care. I want to forgive him. I want to forgive her. I want to move forward with them. I want them to be where they were when they first met me. Okay. Here's some just absolute, probably can't come back from moments. And here's some signs that are going on inside of you that are telling you maybe it's time to call it quits when you're with somebody. And if you're with someone who's actually not healthy for you, they're not going to make it easy on you, probably, because they don't want to probably leave the relationship. But if you're going through a hard time in your relationship, you don't know when you should call it quits, here's a list of telltale signs. What if you seem to be frustrated about your relationship all the time? For instance, you feel emotional needs are never being met. You can't resolve things. You can't talk it through. When you bring it up, it's a fight. You bring it up, they don't want to hear it. Or you're wrong. You're wrong for bringing it up. How dare you have something like this? There's just never resolve. You just can't ever get resolved. Leaving you feeling completely ineffective and you just don't know where to go with it, or guilty, or ashamed, or feeling bad for bringing up your concerns or your emotions because you're not going to be listened to. That is long-term unsustainable. Okay. People need to be able to talk things through and, resolve issues. Your concerns do matter. Their concerns matter. But if you can't communicate, again, telltale sign, not a good relationship for you. You might find yourself looking for excuses to avoid time with them or avoid telling them anything. Like you just don't trust to talk to them. You just don't want to spend time because it's so much work. It's not happy time for you. It just feels like it's effort. So you're avoiding and you don't share your life. You're not really telling them the good stuff or the bad stuff. You're just, how you doing? Fine. I'm good. You're not really sharing yourself anymore. You've been shut down or you're shutting yourself down. You don't want to share anymore. And maybe they're not sharing themselves either. Or all they do is share and you never get to share. So that's also a telltale sign that this person isn't reciprocating, right? You are being abused physically. If you're being abused physically, no go. Look, a lot of these times when you're in a situation, and I've heard this so many times, well, look, he just bumped me in the hallway. We were just walking and he kind of bumped me. It wasn't like he hit me. He just shoved me, or he put his arm up and I'm the one that walked into it. Or there's just certain physical things that happen, but they're repetitive. I mean, one time, okay, but if it happens again and again and again, if you've got a bruise, okay, if you've been bruised by this person, or they literally did, hit and then, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't care. Violence is not okay. And if you don't have children with that person, imagine them being violent with your child. If you do have children with, or even just children in general, imagine him or her being violent with that child. Not okay. And women are violent too. Women can be violent with children. I'll tell you the number one sign that a child is getting abused in the home is a step parent. Crazy. Because step parents, they don't love the kids like you do. And they're not supposed to. But if they're having a hard time, they can be violent with your children. So violence, I would say no go. And again, I understand the trickiness of it. Well, again, I'm living here and my kids are here and the school's here and, I don't want to move. And I got it. Do you want to live? Because a lot of these things get escalated. And sometimes, there aren't any bruises that you can see. You get a punch to the body and so your shirt covers that up, But ultimately, violence continues and sometimes it's just not, it just continues to escalate so badly that it is jail or death. So violence just, again, cannot be tolerated. Another thing to look at is there emotional harm and abuse happening? Is there name calling? Are they accusing you of things? Are they holding you emotionally hostage? Are you constantly crying? Do you feel guilt tripped? Do you feel gaslit? Do you feel like you're going crazy because they're accusing you of all these things? That's all emotional abuse. Guilt tripping, shaming, blaming. There's a lot of ways people manipulate. Stonewalling, not communicating. Women, are famous for this. They just shut down. They talk about you to their friends and family, and they don't let you touch them or love on them, or they're crying all the time. You're so bad, sick, and wrong. So emotional abuse can go both ways. The intensity and the vibrancy of the emotions that were present in the beginning are gone, and now you just have memories about what was good before. And I've heard that a lot. I just want to go back to the way it was when we first got together. That isn't gonna happen. You are never going back to those feelings and those moments. That's never going to happen because that's when it was brand new and it was novel and it was just, you're just excited to be together, but you're not going to go backward because we're in a whole new era now. That phase of romance is kind of it's a drug. It's a drug. Falling in love is a drug. And so people always want to go back to that state. They want to go back to when they fell in love with each other and had this emotional, intensity, and sexual electricity. But that isn't meant to last forever. I'm not saying it can't last forever, but it can't just be everything forever. That's all it was in the beginning, was just that. We didn't know each other. We weren't engaging in life together. That's just not sustainable. Those kind of emotions do not last forever in any relationship, because it's got to get in the real world. There's got to be some sort of real relationship now, and there's got to be commitment. And sometimes commitment seems boring, but it creates stability for people. You've completely and radically changed your appearance, hoping that your partner will find you more attractive. Look, if you're not getting something, or if you don't feel like they even see you anymore, and you're doing anything you can to change just to get the attention you used to get or get noticed at all, that's not someone who's with you. That's kind of like there's a problem in the relationship and you're desperate for them to see you a certain way. And maybe they don't care about the looks anymore, but chances are they've shut down and you're desperate to try and get them back. And so you're doing anything you can to get that energy coming your way again. But the connection's gone. It isn't about looking perfect or changing it up. It's this reconnecting with truth. The fastest way to get connected to somebody in life is tell the truth. Tell the truth faster, okay? But a lot of times in these situations, we don't dare tell the truth, because if we tell the truth, it might end it. Well, there's a risk in that too. That's right. I'm not happy. I don't feel like you see me. I'm changing my appearance just to get your attention. If that doesn't spark, that your partner say, oh my gosh, I don't want you doing that. Please don't do that. Just let's talk. If you can't get your partner to engage with you and you got to resort to all these different things, again, this is not someone you should be staying with. This is maybe when to call it quits. You've compromised and sacrificed your beliefs, ambitions, and core values to adjust to your partner's needs. So you've completely become codependent, and you're hoping that it'll eliminate the problems in your relationship if you just give up what you really want, if you give up what you need. I've seen women kind of give up their kids in a way. Like they'll stay with dad longer, or they're accommodating their partner instead of making sure that they get resolved in some fights and stuff. And having a balanced life. But this is, again, unsustainable. How much do you have to sacrifice to make this work? And if you're having to do that, honey, that ain't love. That is not love. It goes both ways. I've seen men have to do this stuff too. I've got this guy that his, woman called the police on him and lied to the police, that he had been violent with her. He was violent with a tub. He shoved something or whatever, but he didn't hit her. And I know that because I've talked to her about it. But she embellished her story. He's got to go to court to fight domestic violence charges, but he's going to forgive her. Okay, no. I just say, look, is that possible? Maybe. But stop the action. There's a protective order in place. Don't talk to her. Don't take her call. Don't let her come over. Don't travel. I mean, it's incredible how much he's going to put his life on the line here. I trust her, and you can't trust her. She just lied, and she won't talk to prosecution to have the charges reversed. So I'm waiting for that to blow up. Just, you can kind of see that, right? Because he loves her. He loves her. She would never. Well, she did. She did do what she did. And we're going to see where that goes. But that, again, might be time to call it quits if that's going on. A lot of men that I work with are kind of blind. Love is blind. So they're kind of blind to who they're with, and they don't recognize and realize that she's diabolical. And so they keep giving her chance after chance, or they feel sorry for her and she cries and she's so sorry. But again, if she's lighting fires, to burn down your life, you take your freedom away. This guy's got children. He's got family. He's got, people to take care of that count on him. He's got a big career. He can't go to jail. If he goes to jail for something he did not do because she had a flip out moment, that's just not stable. It's not sustainable. So might be time to call it quits. If you feel hollow and a shell of your former self, you feel like you're just dying on the inside because you're having to be what they want you to be. You're not able to be your authentic version. I've had people have health issues, literally heart issues and physical ailments because they're just holding their breath, trying not to upset their partner, trying to look a certain way, trying to be a certain way to make sure that person still loves them. That's just torture. So that's probably time to call it quits. You find you put a lot of distance and completely maybe ended relationships with friends and family to make your partner happy. Again, you got to give because they're insecure. They don't like that person. You're accommodating and accommodating and accommodating that person. When you live your life to accommodate their needs, because that's all that matters is their emotions, their upsets, their problems. And you got to pick them constantly. Look, these kind of people that you probably should walk away from. Once you give that, I'll give up my family, I'll give up my mom, I'll let my kids stay with my ex longer. Like you start doing these accommodating things to make it work for them, they're going to continue to ask more and more of you. It isn't like, oh, thank you. You don't have to do that. I really shouldn't ask that. Like, it isn't going to come back in a favorable way for you, meaning they're not going to be grateful. They're going to continue to ask you and demand of you that you put them first over everyone. And look, I do think that couples should be first in each other's lives, but not to the literal exclusion of other people that have been there for you, like even your children. So you don't want to completely sacrifice all the support system and relationships in your life. Yeah, it's interesting. I had a predator guy that was after one of my clients, and the first thing he asked her was, is there any men in your life? Where's your dad? Where's, your brothers? Do you have any exes that are still, hanging around? What he's looking for is to make sure she's isolated from men, that not a powerful guy will come after him when he physically assaults her. And he did, because he kind of interviewed her for a few hours before they went back to her apartment, had some sex. But it was interesting because he really did screen to make sure that nobody was going to be around. There wasn't a tough neighbor, just the questions he was asking. And she just thought he was worried about her because she didn't have anybody to take care of her. No, he's grateful there's nobody there to, have her back. Crazy. I also had this, recent experience with one of my clients. Great dad, loves his daughter. She's getting married. And now all of a sudden he is, after being her dad for her whole life, 20 whatever years, he's uninvited, can't go. She doesn't want him there, doesn't want anything to do with him. She's kind of always been loyal to mommy in a way, mommy and her, but he was still in her life. And now all of a sudden, she's getting married, like his family doesn't want him around and the groom. So my first impression of that was literally somebody wants her unsafe. Someone wants her unguarded. Because if you got a powerhouse of a father around you, like someone hurts my baby girl, trust me, he's going to go after him. Isn't that how you'd be? Absolutely. So it's just interesting that these predators will kind of say these things. So now she's upset with him for some reason. I think somebody wants her to be vulnerable so they can take advantage of her. And, he's obviously upset, personalizing it. What I do wrong? I love my baby. And I'm like, back up. Like, you are going to get a phone call, dude. When something happens, be prepared to have to go, defend your daughter's honor, take care of her, whatever. It's going to come back full circle. But somebody's really trying to get rid of the dad, because what is the dad's job, right? Protect, provide. Back to the, when is it time to call it quits? You may feel like your partner doesn't appreciate anything you do or that you have achieved in this relationship or in life and is undermining your every step along the way. I've seen a handful of women give up their careers for their men. Now, I'm not saying if you're going to have a family that, you got to be a rock star when you're 20s, whatever. But literally, they are threatened by her success. They don't want her making all this money. They want her making money because they're using it, they're spending it, but they don't want her to be outshining them. And that is a big red flag to me, that you have to be, again, smaller person, smaller experience in life. And if you sacrifice way too much to make this person happy, that is not love. That is someone that's actually harming your life. That is a suppressive person who is so insecure, and he or she is trying to make sure you are only there for them. Your whole purpose in that relationship is to be with them. So if you've got any of that stuff going on, you might need to call it quits. And if you do call it quits, be wise about it. Some people just file for divorce, hand papers over. I think you need to have a strategic conversation with somebody just about how a breakup goes, what could happen if you've got someone who is, again, demanding all the sacrifice out of you and they're not giving the same. What are they capable of? Because they're already harming you by continuing to suck you dry and energetically. And if you're a kind-hearted, sweet person, see, this is the thing. I mean, I have so many good people I work with that are just getting taken advantage of. They're just getting sucked dry by some of these people. And if the request was made on the other side, they're not going to give up their career. They're not going to give up their family. They're not, they put their kids with someone else. They're going to say no to that. They can say no. That's what's amazing is these people that want so much, they can ask for everything, but they won't ever give anything back like that. They can say no all day. But when you say no, oh, that's when a fight happens. How you don't love me, the guilt trips, the gaslighting. So it might be time to call it quits if you're going through any sort of these kind of things. I will tell you, if you tend to have these kind of partners in your life, it's really a codependent nature you've got. You're a pleaser. You want to make them happy. You think you need to earn love. You think you need to give something away to get love, and you've got to prove to them how much you love them. What's that about? Why do you need to prove anything? And why are they requiring you to prove anything, right? Make them prove something. Ask them to prove something. Let's see if they can. Let's see if they will. Chances are they won't. So be really, really careful when you're in a relationship and that kind of sacrifice or requests start coming in, and they just want you all to themselves, and they don't want you to see your kids. They don't want you to see your friends. They don't want you to travel. They don't want you to go to your families for holidays. They'll take you here. They'll take you there. Be really careful with these kind of people that just want to black widow and isolate you. Again, it might be time to call it quits if you feel like you're doing nothing but shedding everything to make them happy. I know a woman who married this guy, and she sold her home because she was going to move into his home. She sold her beautiful house. She loved this house. It had acreage, horse property, whatever. And she had a lot of stuff, beautiful stuff, right? Well, it wasn't all going to fit in his little house. And he didn't like some of her stuff. He didn't like her furniture. It didn't fit his motif in the home, his home, right? It wasn't our home. It was his home. And I always tell couples, if you can afford it, start over together. You're both inconvenienced. You're both having to, throw stuff out. You're both going to contribute. But this woman put everything she had in storage, or she got rid of stuff. There was just all these things that she just gave away just to make him happy. And then guess what? He wasn't happy. He just kept wanting more and more and more. And I watched the light in her eyes. She quit seeing me. Now I'm seeing her again. But I'll tell you, when I was working with her before, she was probably size 7. Light in her eyes, gorgeous, bombastic, funny. I mean, funny. Had just light and a spark. She was amazing. And then she's with this guy for about 10 years. And I bumped into her at the mall. And I'm like, oh my gosh, hey, I haven't seen you. I love you. What's going on? Just checking in. How you doing, girl? She was so ashamed. She could barely look at me. And I grabbed her arm and I said, hey, this is me. I love you. Come see me, honey. I miss you. Come see me. But I saw her and she's going to come see me. She's separated now. It did get physical, and she has lost everything. She's probably gained 7,500 pounds. I'm not kidding. She didn't look healthy. She looked like she's struggling with something, and she said, I'm not doing good. I said, well, let's get you back. Let's get your power back. So we're going to do that. But I just saw her, and she was a shell of her prior self. I listened to this video, and this woman said, unhealthy men, if he don't have money, he's going to take your money. If he don't have health, he's going to take your health. If he doesn't have friends, he's going to take your friends. So you want to make sure whoever you pick and whoever you stay with is good for you. And my cute client, I'm going to get her back. I'm going to get her power back. Beautiful lady. She's so talented, but she forgot her way. She lost her way. She gave her power up. She gave up all of her mojo for love, which that ain't love, is it? No. Love doesn't require all that sacrifice. Love requires some sacrifice. It requires commitment. But it doesn't require you to sell your soul to make them happy. Yeah. Okay. So if you got any of this stuff going on, it might be time for you to leave or consider leaving. And maybe you can't leave right away, but we can be strategic and figure out what the best strategy is for you to leave. Maybe it's a year, maybe it's a few months. I don't know. But I'm good at strategizing that kind of stuff with people. So give me a call, set up a time to come see me. You can find me on my website at healwithkimile.com. That's heal, H-E-A-L, with KIMILE.com. And I would be happy to help you maintain your power and not give yourself away. Thanks for listening. Till next time.